Hey guys, 7th here. A couple of quick things first before we get going with this. I'm about 12 subs away as of right now from hitting 10,000 subs. When that happens, it's my understanding that it's customary to do a video celebrating that milestone. So I don't have a Reddit account, so I don't want to do an AMA, but I want to do an AMA kind of thing. So what I want you to do is when you're done watching this video, think of any question that you want to ask me and post it in the comments of this video, and I'll take all the questions and I'll answer them in the next vid after this one. Second of all, I clearly have to have a new stipulation to add to this whole debate thing. And that stipulation is, I'm not going to debate you if you are a minor. I shouldn't even have to elaborate on that, but apparently I do. Look, I'm the 7th fucking level. You are a teenager. I'm not spending the night in jail because your parents get upset that I called their precious little snowflake a donkey raping shit eater, okay? It ain't gonna happen. Our first victim is a gentleman named Dkunz Cartoons. His channel page link is in the description. He had a number of questions for me. But first, before I get into the questions, let me bring up a couple of points. One, nobody in this community likes a fucking no-facer. Get your fucking ass in front of a camera. Don't send me videos of a picture of some fucked up cartoon and you talking into a microphone. That's boring ass shit. We want to see your face. We want to see the conviction and the emotion in your face. We want to see the fucking anger in your face. We can't do that if you're a fucking no-face with a microphone, okay? Now, I understand that if you do a face cam, you may accidentally reveal via your background what's behind you that you still live in mommy and daddy's house. Well, that's okay. I've got a solution for you. Just tack up some black garbage bags behind you so you can't see the background. Trust me, this has worked for other people in this community before. Secondly, I asked for a debate, not for top 20 questions. All you did was, 7th, I would like to know what you think about this. That's not debate. You giving your views and then wanting me to counter them or trying to counter things I've already said is a debate. Asking me what I think is just asking me what I think. Not unless you want to do a response video to the video I'm making now. Which, judging by your subs and views, you probably want to do that. But anyway, first question. He wants to know what I think of the value prospects of PlayStation Now. Not a fucking lot. Why? I'll tell you why. Because what does PlayStation Now have right now? PlayStation 3 games. In case you hadn't noticed, I got over 200 of them on my shelf, son. I'm not going to be paying to rent shit that I already own. And most of what's available on PlayStation Now, I already have sitting on my shelf. Now, once they add PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2 games, imports of PlayStation 1 and 2 games, then it'll be a different prospect, because I have a lot of those too, but not as much as what I got for PlayStation 3. So there's liable to be stuff on there that I never experienced when those systems were out, and I would be interested in trying those. However, that's not the only thing that I'm considering here. I'm sure what you really meant by that when asking me about PlayStation Now's value was, well, 7th, don't you think that the 4-hour rental is a rip-off? Or what about that 90-day rental? Isn't it all just... Yes! The 4-hour rental is bullshit. No one is going to get any kind of decent gameplay value out of 4 hours. And I've heard this shit about, well, it would be good for parents so they could have a little pizza party with their kids. They're only going to be at the house for 4 hours, so it makes sense. No! They can play what they already have for free. Be a fucking parent. There is no good reason to pay any amount of money for a 4-hour rental. That's what demos are for. Same with the 90-day rental. If you're going to get so attached to a game that you already know before you start it that you're going to be fixated on it for the next 3 months, you might as well just buy the fucking game. Most of those games that are on there, you can buy new or used for cheaper than what they're renting it to you for 3 months. If you buy it, at least you have something to put on your shelf or something to trade in at your game store. There's no reason to do the 90-day rental. None. As for the 7-day, the week rental, that's a different story. If you look at things, the week rental, for the most part, there's a couple exceptions in there. Remember, PlayStation doesn't set the price, the developer does. There's a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, you can get the week-long rental for cheaper than what it would cost you to have it for the same amount of days from Redbox. Not to mention not having to drive out to Redbox, take the game and drive it back home, then drive back up to Redbox, put it in the Redbox and drive back home. You don't have to do that. So comparing it to something like Redbox, the week rental is a good value if it works. That's another key point. Me, I tested it out. I didn't notice any discernible lag or any degradation of the graphics or anything like that when I tried it. I have not tried it at all times of the day. Those of you out there who have broadband or DSL know that your internet speed tends to fluctuate up and down depending on what time of day it is, which this of course has to do with how many people are online at that time. So average day, most people get home from work around 5:30. Expect that time to be pretty shitty. In the middle of the night, pretty good. You get my point. Now, I can't speak for everybody. Solid Rev obviously did not have as decent an experience as I am. So there are still some obvious kinks to be ironed out with the way that they're doing the streaming. I have a 50 meg per second download speed. The majority of the United States doesn't have near that based on the most recent statistics. So my question is, are the majority of the United States gaming customers on PlayStation Network going to get a decent experience for what they're offering? With things being as they are, I would guess probably not. Hence why it's still in a beta. Another point is I don't give a fuck about paying per title. I want a subscription rate. I'm not doing this per title bullshit. I'm just not. This is the era of Netflix. This is the era of Hulu. This is the era of Amazon Prime. I want a monthly subscription rate or a one-time rate added to my annual charge for PlayStation Network. Fuck this per title bullshit. Don't want it, don't need it. And another thing, even when they do add PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 titles to this, I still have most of the ones that I cared about when those systems are out sitting on my shelf right now. So what is the advantage to me of playing them streaming when I got the discs right now and I got the systems and I can play them all? Well, there was a patent that was revealed several months ago showing that Sony had come up with a system to add trophies to games on systems that didn't originally have trophies. And when I saw that, I assumed that when PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games hit that system, they're going to add trophies to these games to encourage people to come back and play this stuff. Then I'd be more interested in it. That would give me a motivation to go back and play through those games that I've already beaten all over again to add them to my trophy score. Until all of that happens, until they add PS1, add PS2, add PS1 and PS2 imports, add trophies to those games, and add a flat subscription rate, I couldn't give a rat's ass about PlayStation Now. I'm about physical media. I am a supporter and an endorser of physical media. I'm going to fight getting into the digital distribution game for as long as I possibly can, short of little downloadable PSN games. Next question! EA Access. See what I just said about PlayStation Now. Next question! No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. EA Access. It's a ripoff. It's a total ripoff. Why? Because all those games that you get for free, they're all old shit, and a lot of it is sports titles. Now, what's the cheapest fucking thing you can buy when you walk into a GameStop? Last year's sports game. They are giving you for free the garbage that nobody else will buy anymore. That's what you're getting for free. And then, oh, you're getting 10% off on a new game, and you get it a few days before it comes out. So you're paying $5 a month to get $5 off of a game you may not even buy. You think about the way EA does their distribution. They usually only have one big marquee title that comes out per month. Every now and again they'll release multiples, but for the most part, you get one big must-have game in a given month. So you're paying a monthly fee to get the same amount that you're paying for the service off on that game, give or take $1. But what if they don't have a game that you want out that month? The only way that you're really getting any benefit out of it is if you buy, multiple games from Electronic Arts in 1 month. Gee, I wonder if that would have anything to do with them offering a discount. You think? Long story short, they only give away old worthless shit for free, so you're not getting anything good from that. What's so great about getting a game 5 days early? If you've got it 5 days early and everybody else waits till launch day and it's got a multiplayer component, who the fuck you gonna play? Think about that. There's nothing beneficial about EA Access. And the fact that Microsoft fans laughed and bragged about this total shit-ass service, you people are dumb as fuck, because you know what this is gonna do. It's gonna encourage other companies like Ubisoft and Activision to have their own monthly services. So then instead of paying $5 to get shit you didn't buy at GameStop, you're going to be paying $15 to get even more shit that you didn't buy at GameStop. Just expect it. You're going to be, if you buy into that, you're going to be encouraging other developers to fuck you even more. I'm just giving you the warning now. It starts with one company and then it grows. The only good concept for digital distribution for games is a flat monthly subscription from all developers like a Netflix or an Amazon Prime. If you allow all these developers to have their own individual subscription plan, you are just bending over and begging them to fuck you in the ass. What's my opinion of the PU or the Wii Poo or whatever? Well, that pretty much says it all, and I've already said what I feel about the Wii U. It's a system that has potential, but that potential is not being met. This is a combination of both the decisions that Nintendo has made and poor development decisions made by some of the third-party developers. You can't blame all of it on shoddy ports. I'm sorry, Dr. Trey, you can't. I'm sorry, Black Baron, you can't. Why? Because they had original third-party exclusive games like Zombie U, and you people didn't fucking buy Zombie U. Sold 800,000 copies. The game's been out 2 years, 800,000 copies. You guys bragged on it for days and talked about how original and terrifying and great and awesome it was, and you motherfuckers didn't buy the game. And that has happened time and time and time again. Where was your campaign last year to save Wonderful 101? That hasn't even broke 300,000 copies. Where were you guys then? That's a second-party exclusive. That's a platinum game. Where was Operation Platinum then? Because you sure as hell were piping it up after E3 last year, talking about how great and wonderful it was, and how it reminded you of Beautiful Joe as far as the graphics go, and this and that and the other thing, but you didn't buy the shit. I bought it, and I'm not on the Wii U side. But you motherfuckers didn't buy it. So let me correct what I said a moment ago. It's partially the fault of Nintendo, partially the fault of third-party developers, and a lot of it is your fucking fault for not buying games. Oh sure, you'll buy Mario, and you'll buy Mario Kart, and you'll buy, to a lesser extent, Pikmin 3, but an original game like Wonderful 101, you'll throw it in other fan bases' faces saying, look, this is why Wii U rules. In fact, it rules so much, we don't even have to buy the game. We just have to know it's out there. You are dumb as fuck. If you say the game is good, you've got no excuse for not buying it. And Wonderful 101, I own it. It is a fun game. And you dumbasses who own a Wii U and nothing but a Wii U have no fucking excuse for why it's not sitting on your shelf right now like it's sitting on mine. So I don't want to hear any more whining and bitching and complaining about how you don't get good games that aren't made by Nintendo, or trying to deny that you don't only buy Nintendo games. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'd like for Bayonetta to be a success simply because I like the first one and I'd like to play a Bayonetta 3. But starting a campaign begging each other to buy the game is pathetic. It's sad and it's pathetic. If the game is good, you shouldn't have to convince each other to buy it. That's the same as admitting that there's a problem in your community with buying third-party and or mature games. If you have to create a campaign, a propaganda campaign, to talk your own fan base into buying a game that was not directly made by Nintendo and has a mature rating, then you are admitting to the fact that the majority of you don't buy the fucking shit. You are begging people to buy it. That means you feel you have to convince them to buy it. That means you acknowledge that they're not buying it. How fucking dumb is that? Sunset Overdrive. What do I think of Sunset Overdrive? Well, I've already stated that I'm not overly impressed with Sunset Overdrive. And I've already expressed reservations about Insomniac and how far downhill they've come since Resistance 3. Since Ratchet & Clank A Crack in Time, they haven't made a single game that runs at 60 frames per second. In fact, Ted Price, at that time, stated in an interview that, artistically speaking, he didn't feel there was a need for 60 frames per second in console gaming. Fuck you, Ted Price. Fuck you. Since that statement was made, they have put out, with the exception of Resistance 3, shitty game after shitty game after shitty game. Fuse, garbage. Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus, decent but short, 30 frames per second, garbage. Ratchet & Clank Full Frontal Assault, garbage. Ratchet & Clank All for One, garbage. They don't exactly have the best track record on their last multiple releases. So why should I expect that Sunset Overdrive is going to be a huge fucking difference from that, especially when I'm watching videos of it and what I see are the exact same enemies over and over again, just big clouds of red booger monsters coming at you. And I see a lot of gaming mechanics that were flat out stolen from the Sly Cooper / Infamous / their own Ratchet & Clank series. That's what it is. It's Ratchet & Clank's guns and third-person gunplay mixed with Infamous and mixed with Sly Cooper and put in an open world with a whole bunch of dude. When I said that it looked like a game that was trying too hard to be cool, that's what the guys over at GameSack, which I really love that channel. If you haven't subscribed to GameSack, check it out. Or is it GamerSack? I think it's GameSack though. They do a lot of reviews of retro stuff. And that's what they call it, is dude. That's when you've got a character that is trying too hard to cater to the youthful audience. And he ends up sounding fucking fake because of it. That's what I was referring to. All the footage that they've shown and the way the character acts and all this stuff, and I know you can make your own, but the way that they have depicted the character acting and talking and this and that and the other, it's really heavy on the dude, and I don't really care for that kind of shit. It comes across to me as disingenuous. That's why I loved Infamous Second Son Not so much the character of Delson Rowe. I'd rather have Cole McGrath back. Just being honest. Delson Rowe, little too much on the tood. I'm certainly going to buy it simply because of the fact that I'm a collector and I buy the exclusives. That's what I buy for the system that's not my preference. For the system that's my preference, I buy the first party and the third party stuff. System that's not my preference, exclusives only. That's the way I do it. There's no reason for me to own a game, the same game on every system. There's just not. It's not like back in the 16-bit era when you had Genesis and Super Nintendo, and on Super Nintendo you get Turtles in Time, and on Genesis you get the Hyperstone Heist. EA and Blizzard, I don't really consider them the same kind of thing. EA is a publishing house, Blizzard is a developer. EA has several developers underneath it. There are development houses within EA that I have loyalty and attachment to, but not EA itself. Blizzard, I like Diablo. That's about it. I don't play any of the other shit that they have. I played some of the old PC RPGs that they had back in the day, and that's the extent of it. As for your comments about Diablo 3 being online only, I can't speak on the PC version, but in the PS4 version, you can turn the online off and just play it as an offline game. You have that capability in the PS4 version. So, just letting you know. Finally, lack of variety this gen. Really? You think so? Sitting on my shelf for PS4 right now, I've got third-person action titles, third-person shooter titles. I have first-person shooter titles. I have a RPG. I've got an action platformer. I've got a racing title. I have a wide range of different genres sitting on my shelf for PlayStation 4 now. Do I have a Japanese RPG? No. But as we clearly saw at Sony's pre-TGS conference, they have plenty of JRPGs coming for the PlayStation 4. It's going to be just like last gen. I remember distinctly last gen, Fury Doughboy trying to convince everybody that Xbox 360 was going to be the home for Japanese RPGs. And I told his dumb ass, no, it's not going to be that way. You just watch the PS3, just like the PSP and just like the PS2 before it, will be the de facto home for the most JRPGs available on the market. And what happened? You had 4 or 5 good JRPGs that were exclusive to Xbox 360, and then that got drowned by a flood of JRPGs exclusive to the PS3. And it's going to happen again with the PS4. Why? Simple. Because dude bros don't play JRPGs. And that's who primarily buys the Xbox One. They want to play first-person shooters, and they want to play third-person action titles that only have men as the lead character, and they want to play sports games. That's it. That's it. They might delve into a Fallout 3 because it has shooting in it. They might delve into a Skyrim because it's still first-person, even though you're using swords. But you can shoot guys with fireballs, but they're not going to get into the JRPGs. They don't like them. And so that's why they don't sell on Microsoft platforms, and that's why you're not going to see a huge amount of them on the Xbox One compared to the PS4. And that's why, crap gamer, the Xbox One is going to tank in Japan. Never mind the fact that it's the size of a fucking briefcase. Have you ever seen the average apartment in Japan? They don't exactly have a lot of free space. They like small little things. Small little thing. What's the smallest console now besides the Wii U? The PS4. It's going to slide into their shelf easier to match with all their wonderful feng shui shit, and so they're not going to buy something that's the size of a fucking briefcase. They're not going to do it. They don't want something to replace their Sony Betamax VCR. They're going to buy something small that's more aesthetically pleasing, and that's the PS4. Plus, it's going to have all those Japanese games that your system is not going to have. So I would not expect some unforeseen sales renaissance for the Xbox One in Japan. It's not gonna happen. China might be a different story. But then again, a week before the Xbox One comes out in China, you'll see 3,000 Xbox One clones that play 16-bit Nintendo games on emulation, and they'll rush out and buy that because it's half the price. So who knows whether it'll sell well over there or not. The fact of the matter is that Sony has also gotten a deal to sell the PS4 in China through a same sub company as the one that Microsoft is using for the Xbox One. So it's not like it's going to be out there without competition. PS4 is coming too. But getting back to diversity, PlayStation has always had a more diverse library than the other consoles. It has from day one. The PlayStation 1 had a way more diverse library than the N64 or the Saturn. The PlayStation 2 had a more diverse library than the Xbox original, the GameCube, or the Dreamcast. And the PlayStation 3, thanks to all those Japanese import games that they've been bringing in all this time, and the PlayStation 3 had a more diverse library because of all those imported games they were bringing in from Japan that Xbox 360 players didn't want, and Wii owners didn't get without signing campaigns begging to have them come over. Why? Because you guys didn't buy your third-party exclusives on the Wii either, you dumb fucks! And it's going to be the same with PS4. And here's the really funny part. You say, you complain about diversity, that they don't have adventure titles and they don't have JRPGs and all this stuff. But what's the one thing that you hear Xbox owners laughing and mocking about? What do they call the PlayStation 4? They call it the Indie Station. Where are you likely to find the most diversity in gaming play styles in gaming right now? In the indie market. Think about that for a second. And here's the real hypocritical thing about guys like Zaire and Crap Gamer and any of the other guys out there. I don't know if Arsenal's ever said anything like this, that call it the Indie Station and say indie games suck, indie games are no good, indie games aren't real games. I'd like to remind you guys on video now instead of in comments that the first-person shooter genre was invented by an indie developer. Most innovation in gaming comes from indie companies and indie development. That's a fact. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. And it comes from indie developers on PC and then makes its way over to the consoles. And that's why you are able to play your Halo 5 and play your Destiny, because way back in the early 90s, studios like id and Apogee were putting out games like Catacombs 3D and Wolfenstein 3D. And if it hadn't been for that, you wouldn't be enjoying the genre that you play more than anything else on your fucking system. And here's what's even worse. What was something heard in the console wars constantly from the Xbox 360 crowd last gen? PSN sucks. It doesn't have any good games for download. We've got Castle Crashers. We've got Shadow Complex. We have Trine. We have all these great platformers and RPGs and arcade titles that you don't have. And what were 90% of those games? Indie titles. They threw indie titles in the faces of PlayStation fans last gen to show that Xbox Live was better than PlayStation Network. Now, the tides have turned in more ways than one, and PlayStation has the most indie titles, and now they're saying, haha, all you have to play is indie titles. Indie titles suck, when they were bragging about how many of them they had last gen. And that goes for Crap Gamer, and that goes for Zaire, and all those other dumb, idiot motherfuckers. It's the straight truth. These same guys that are ragging on PlayStation for having all these diverse, inexpensive, fun titles to download, that we can be playing in between big releases while you don't have shit to play between big releases. You were bragging about having them when we didn't have them. So you can just shut the fuck up about indie games, because the Xbox One is the Xbox None. And that's it for Dkunz questions. I'm done. I'm gonna play some games and watch some TV and then go to bed. Stick a fork in me. Later on, I'm gonna be showing off my new furniture. You can kind of see one of them behind my shoulder there. I've got rid of all the old furniture and I bought 4 leather recliners. These recliners are gaming recliners. They have built-in light-up cup holders. The armrests come up and they got USB plug-ins and power plug-ins for all your charging your controllers and using your laptop. Fully reclining, powered reclining, and then I got a plain 4th leather recliner for when company comes over. I'm finally getting my game room, my man cave, the way that I want it. And I'm gonna be showing you guys that process as I do it. Also, don't forget, I'm probably going to be hitting 10,000 subs anytime now, so the next video is going to be celebrating that and answering any questions you guys have for me. So post them in the comments now. Y'all have a good day. This is 7.